back for another episode of Get a Load of This from the Silver Creek Studios once again. I'm Jared.
I'm Ryan. You changed the shit up.
We're back once again.
You
And
all different.
I'm Rebecca.
See,
But you throwing different words in there.
Well, we were in the dugout last time.
I know, but I see what you're saying. So we're back once again from the Silver Creek Studio. I got you.
Sorry.
I can see how this they could get confusing for some of these people out there.
Telling you, you go off script, one word, and
Well, we are creatures of habit here.
We
We've
are,
been,
for
you know,
sure.
how many episodes you've been saying pretty much the exact same
I
fucking
know.
thing every
Hey,
episode.
I'm trying to change it up.
Hey.
We don't say fuck the Cubs anymore.
That's true. Speaking of not saying fuck,
You don't
Speaking
have
of
to
the
now.
Cubs,
Yeah. But kudos to us for the dugout episode that we didn't curse. I think I said shit once. I don't think we said the F word at all.
And it was good. I listened to the whole thing. It
Even
was good.
for you.
Yeah.
You don't give a shit about the subject matter.
I don't care about baseball cards. No,
Yeah.
I care. I mean, the concept is interesting, but the actual thing is.
Yeah. Right.
I like the history involved in what's his face and George and
Yeah,
how long you've been
yeah.
buying baseball cards from him, et cetera.
From the
et cetera.
same guy, yeah, which is
Yeah.
kind of nuts.
The
And
problem that I
how
had
much he
though through the
knows, too.
whole thing, fun fact,
Mm-hmm.
he sounds like my gynecologist. I'm not even kidding
Well.
you. And so every single time he would speak, I'm like, Dr. Lang.
yeah. Get out of there.
I mean, it sounded just like my gynecologist.
So I don't know your gynecologist, but I think he has a very Randy has a very
Soothing.
soothing.
Yes.
he
very
does.
quiet-
As does my
So,
gynecologist. Yeah.
So yeah, man. Yeah. So I think that's kind of cool. You know, it's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
like you can.
That
listen
was a
to him
good
talk.
episode.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed listening to it. Yeah.
Good job. It was a good idea. It was well
Yeah,
executed.
we need to come up with some more ideas like
Yeah.
that. So if you're out there and you have any ideas for us to go like on location shit, let us know. You know, at Load This Podcast, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We're doing this out of order.
Right.
All out of
Do it
order.
at the beginning.
That's okay. You can plug it any old time.
Get 'em before they turn us off.
Right. Gotta hit them
Right.
fast. Loadthispodcast at gmail.com. And, or you could leave us a message on Facebook right down there.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure you subscribe, too. We never say that either.
Yeah, I know.
Make sure you
we gotta wait
subscribe
for
on
that.
Facebook?
Not on Facebook, on
Oh.
YouTube. But
And
you
to
can
the
follow
podcast,
us on Facebook
on your
and
favorite
subscribe.
podcast
Yeah,
app.
on if you use iTunes or Google Play or whatever you use, make sure you
Podcast
subscribe there
addict or
and
what
like set
not.
the little reminder that tells you when a new episode's out there because you never know, we might shock you with one. We haven't done a half loader in a while,
I know.
So, you know, one of
well,
those-
2 weeks in
Yeah,
a
I
row now
noticed
we didn't
that.
do half loaded.
I noticed that.
but I think it's because we haven't been.
We haven't been even a quarter loaded.
Yeah, we have. So we're gonna maybe have to do a special episode whenever Sober October's over because.
So next week will be the 30th or the 1st.
Shit. We may have to
What's
postpone.
today? Yeah.
It will
well,
be
today's the
30th.
24th, so
Is it?
Yeah.
next Tuesday will be the
first.
You got to
Holy
celebrate.
Shit.
We are going to be
And
hammered.
break out the fireball.
Fully loaded. Yep. We'll get the Fireball. I want to drink some Oktoberfest.
Yep.
Maybe we
a
should
pumpkin
go.
beer.
You know what we should do? We
Pumpkin
should
beers
go
are pretty good.
on site at Stubborn German. Doesn't have to be a big
That'd be
production. It could just be hanging out and drinking beer.
Yeah, yeah. We'll have to
Whatever.
talk about
We'll
that.
see.
That was
Yep.
that was fun to listen to the last time you guys went
Yeah.
to. Was it the same place?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
And a Tuesday would be probably good for them too because I don't know how busy they are.
I think
on
they're less
Tuesdays.
busy. Yeah. So we'll see. Either way, there's going to be beer
May
involved.
have to take a PTO day on
Oh
Wednesday.
man, yeah, you're not kidding.
Like you don't understand, boss. It's been 31 days. Yeah.
And I thought we were going to go 2 months, and I am really glad that we're not.
Yeah, no shit. Maybe
It has been tough.
we can do like January, you know. But like October,
That's the month of your birthday. Why would you do something so
well,
silly?
my birthday's at the end. I can drink at the end, you know.
There
Well,
you go. All right.
I mean, there's 2 days after your birthday.
Well, whatever. So the first 28 days of the month, I'll be sober. But
So, can I ask? We've talked a little bit about this on the air, but I was doing no alcohol for a somewhat of a health reason, an experiment, so to speak, and
Yeah.
it turned out that did not help at all. So I am going back to drinking.
But you lost weight when you stopped drinking
yeah.
beer.
When I do go back, I'm going to stick with mostly light beer. But
Mhm.
why were you doing it?
because I'm a
Just
fat fuck.
Oh, so
Oh my
it was
God.
weight.
Yeah,
Lost.
I'm
Okay.
Extreme.
trying to lose weight, and well, also try to. So it was kind of the same thing. It was like proved my wife that she always says like, well, if you just stop drinking beer, you're going to lose 15
Mhm.
pounds in a week or two. Well, that's wrong because I haven't drank a fucking beer in
Yeah.
24 days, and I haven't really lost any weight. I've lost a couple pounds, but I'm also working out every fucking day, and I'm working out hard. So
So maybe
And not
you're building
losing weight?
muscle.
no, I'm not losing weight.
Are
I
you
think I'm
changing
building
your diet?
muscle. No, that's the other problem.
That's
Well,
the key.
no, it's not that I'm not changing it. I'm not depriving myself of anything. So if I want something, I'll go get it. I'm gonna eat it. You know, like if I want Twizzlers, fuck, I'm gonna eat Twizzlers. You know, I don't crave Twizzlers, but things like that. It's like I'm not gonna deprive myself of shit that I like. But I'm going to try to be conscious. Maybe. Yeah, I'm just going to try to be conscious of what I'm eating and try to avoid it. You know, it's like I go at the office, I go by the little Quickie Mart thing that they have there, self-serve. You have to scan it, bloop, and then, you know, and it's very tempting. And there's peanut butter cups and Kit Kats and all this shit. And every day I walk by, I'm like, nope, nope, not doing it. And I walk right by it. So that's the kind of shit. That's the effort that I'm making is I'm not eating junk. I'm trying to keep crap out. I'm also trying to not eat before 11 a.m. and after 7 p.m. So the whole what's it called?
Intermittent fasting.
Intermittent thing. Yeah. So I'm trying to do that. And
trying being the operative word. I haven't succeeded for longer than 2 days in a stretch.
Yeah. So today's a good day. I think I've succeeded. But yeah, that kind of thing. But I don't know that really does anything.
Well, you got to be very consistent with it. It's not like I'll do it this day and then that day. Yeah.
It has to be every day.
Like if you get off by one day, then it starts over.
It throws you back in. Yeah. So it's like.
So, but yeah, I think just the making the effort. I think yes, I agree. The whole intermittent fasting thing is fine. But I think even if you do fail, if you're not eating those 11 o'clock bag of chips, Fritos, that's a plus.
Absolutely.
That's a win.
No,
that's a big win.
I agree.
For me, because I did that a lot. I eat a lot of crap at 10 o'clock while I'm watching TV.
We're both the same way. We're late night snackers. Yeah.
Well, it's because we weren't allowed to do it when we were kids because we had to tiptoe down the stairs and miss that fourth step from the bottom.
We were really good at it. Yeah.
Our dad had fucking sonar. Can't hear a goddamn neutron bomb go off now, but man, whenever we were teenagers, if we went downstairs for a slice of cheese, it was like,
God,
it was like trying to escape from Nuremberg.
And we would be so incredibly quiet, like pulling the door open. It would be a team effort, like on the refrigerator, like.
Yeah, it's so quiet because if it made that sound, it was like, "What are you doing?"
Oh God, here he comes! Yeah, we just want a snack.
So that's what happens. Is now we eat because we can. We were deprived of it while we were children.
Well, I'm proud to say I'm down 24 pounds.
Yeah, I'm down.
Good for you.
Yeah, good for you, I guess. I should be happy.
It's all diet for me. I'm not exercising. I walk a little bit at work. Every other day I might walk after lunch. My wife and I have walked maybe 3 times around the neighborhood.
That's good.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm not doing much as far as that. It's just been diet.
So I worked out twice as hard last night so that we could podcast tonight because I was supposed to work out tonight, but I just doubled up last night. So I did 2 basically programs in one night. Oh, okay. So I will say that I'm feeling good about that aspect of it. Going and working out and making the habit of that.
That's got to be good at the very least for like heart rate and just muscle tone and stuff.
So I get there every night and I ride 6 miles on a bike. It's about a half an hour.
That's awesome.
And then I get off the bike and, get a drink of water and then I figure out, but pretty much the half hour on a bike, I'm figuring out what my workout's going to be for the night. I have it all on paper and I'm like, all right, what is that? How do I do that exercise? I got to remind myself like, I don't know what that means. I got to Google that. And then, then I spend, an hour and a half working out. It's good. And I usually go late, so there's nobody there. I'll tell my fucking story. So last night I was there late, and I was watching the Cardinal game, and I was watching the end of it, and I had to do so I left my crunches till the end, because it basically, it's nice and relaxing. I lay on my back in this one room where there's a giant TV.
I've never heard anyone say crunches were nice and relaxing.
Well, because I get to lay down and I just don't have to move between sets. Yeah. I do 20 and then I just lay there. And then I do another 20.
All right, yeah.
So I'm watching the end of the Cardinals game and I get up from my crunches and I just ripped a big ass fart. Wow. And I didn't I thought no one was there. But then after it happened, I was like, so I had earbuds and I was listening to a podcast and the music's on, KC's on in the joint loud, and I ripped this fucking fart, and I heard the fart, and I was like, oh shit! So I'm looking around like, the lights are off everywhere, everything seemed good, but I'm like, make sure there's nobody fucking hiding in a corner or something like that,
See the door slamming shut on the way.
Yeah. So it was safe. It was safe. It was nobody there. But then I go out to the parking lot. There was 3 cars in the parking lot. I'm like, where are these motherfuckers
they were there.
At? I think they're like taking a steam or something like that.
They're laughing in the back. Oh man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It gets kind of creepy there because the lights go off, like if there's no movement.
Where are you saying there? What is
the
there?
gym. It's called Pound for Pound. It's up here in town.
Okay.
And so they're 24 hours, and I got my little bloop, thing. And but if there's no movement in a room in like, I don't know, if it's 10 or 15 minutes, the lights turn off. Yeah. So I was on the bike, and all the lights go off. I'm like, oh shit! I'm like, yeah, hey. So I had to get up and walk. But I just the TVs are on and all that. But yeah, it's nice. It's like having a real big, nice gym completely to yourself. And even when there's a couple other people there, it's still not bad.
I can't
Except for you can't fart.
Except when you rip a big fart.
Well, you've had those farts that sneak up on you. You're like, this. You feel like this is going to be kind of quiet, and then you let it rip, and you're like, well, that was not quiet at all.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, we started before the episode began. We were talking about this murder,
Hupp.
Conspiracy, love triangle, bizarre story. And I want to know more backstory. This is a local St. Louis thing, right?
So, yeah.
So, and to back it up, there's a new podcast out, too, about this. Have you listened to it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm current. They only put out 1.5 a week, like, one every 6 days or something. So, it's called The Thing About Pam, and it's because if you do any research, like I said, you should do some research. Like, you can't make this shit up.
Yeah.
And it'll sound like I'm making this shit up, but when you read and you follow it from the absolute beginning when she became of any relevance to anyone in the media to current, it's jaw-dropping to see how much this woman actually got away with.
When did it start?
I knew you were going to ask me what year it was, and that's why I said she should pull it up.
I want to say it was 2011, and then
2011,
the
2012,
like
I think.
2016.
I think he got out of prison in 2015.
Okay.
That poor bastard.
But it was only 3 months after he was released because the conviction was overturned.
Who are the key players here? What happened? What's going on?
The key players.
It's a husband and wife, right?
So
Dennis Faria.
you've got Dennis and Betsy Faria, married couple.
Okay.
And the way the dateline goes is that Dennis went straight from work to a game night with his buddies and then came home after going to Jack in the Box, I think, to get some dinner, and came in and his wife was dead on the floor. He called 911. You can hear the
fuck up your tacos from Jack in the Box.
You can hear the 911 call him. You can hear the 911 call of him, desperate and trying to figure out what's going on. So on and so on. So initially, I don't know. I mean, obviously in most murder cases like that, they're going to always go to the husband first or whatever it is. So I don't think that the initial investigators had any thought that it was Russ and they were looking for someone else. And I'm assuming, if memory serves, as going through all the background information and whatnot, they realized that Betsy had recently changed her life insurance policy beneficiary. They had 2 children, Russ and Betsy. They had 2 daughters, have 2 daughters. And this Pamela Hupp, who she worked with, she being Betsy, at State Farm Insurance, was now the beneficiary of her life insurance policy. According to then, during the interview when they finally got to Pamela Hupp, it was because she didn't trust Russ because he was an asshole. He was bad with money. He was all this bad shit. And she wanted to make sure that her daughters would actually get her life insurance money. So
she changed her beneficiary, but not to her daughters? Or
no.
Right? Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
She changed it to this
bitch. Agent?
Yes, this friend. They worked together.
I see. All right.
And they were neighbory friends, kind of, and she gave her rides home from work, and they'd become pals. And Russ was aware of who she was. He'd heard her name mentioned before. Oh, no, don't worry about picking me up from work. Pam's going to give me a ride home. Pam's going to pick me up and take me here. Not that big of a deal.
Just so you know, there's probably not a scenario where I will make you my life insurance beneficiary, right?
Yeah. Oh, I think that's a fair statement.
That's a
both
red
ways.
flag. Yeah, that's a huge red flag. So anyway.
I think he just threatened to kill me. I'm not sure.
I feel like I'm jumping around. I can't. I can't
okay,
find
so
the order.
she changed her policy, and then
So they're doing the investigation. They're having a conversation now. They, being the investigators, are having a conversation now with Pam, and Pam begins to just spin the web of absolute lies and bullshit. Now, of course, at the time, you don't really know that it's bullshit, except for the fact that some of it is a little wonky. Based on what anybody else has said. I feel like Russ did this. He was aggressive with her. They had separated. She was unhappy. I had replaced him in her life. We had a relationship, a very close relationship, and so all this rigmarole. So based on basically what and there was blood smear on the light switch in their bedroom. There was, according to investigators, a trail of blood that led from where Betsy was lying into the kitchen. But the camera had malfunctioned, so the photographs couldn't be shown. There was blood on the bottom of Russ's slippers that were back in his closet, so as to seem that he was trying to hide them there.
Or that someone's trying to frame him by walking around in his fucking slippers and
Well,
it's easy to draw these lines.
You can draw these conclusions now because you know that this all happened.
Well, I don't know, but just based knowing that there's some bullshit afoot.
Yeah.
Ultimately, all of this bogus shit that was done put him in prison.
Yeah.
For the murder of his wife.
And he spent 4 or 5 years or something like that? 3 or 4?
Yeah. Let's say 4.
So did that dude get any reparations or something from what did you say, Franklin County or whatever it was? Or?
Okay,
Lincoln.
so he's in prison, and then
his attorney, his
I don't
lawyer,
have patience for this.
Yeah.
His
He's only
lawyer
talking about
ultimately
reparations.
said, his lawyer knew that this was a bunch of bullshit. He wasn't even able to give his he wasn't even able to do his shit.
Okay.
He wasn't able to
give his side of the story.
Nope,
and all
he wasn't
that.
even given the opportunity.
Why?
I'm not really
All
sure
right,
because
all
the
right.
judge was a dumb fuck.
Yeah.
So
Now,
once
you said his lawyer kind of knew there was some bullshit? Did they know that this woman, is it Pam?
Yeah, I don't think
was
that they
the one spewing it?
Not
or?
yet.
Okay.
Not
all right.
Well, I think that he knew that she was a little too adamant and too emphatic on some of her details and her stories, and some things just didn't completely match up.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, everybody else believed her, you know? And the prosecuting attorney for Lincoln County was really good. I mean, you hear her testimony and I'm like, okay, she's a bitch, but she's good, you know? And she put him there's so much. And then, so this defense attorney realizes we've got to appeal this. This is absurd. You know, we can't let this happen. So he had to, I can't remember what it's called. There's some fancy legal term for what he did, and the judge said, okay, you can have another trial. And then they investigated with Pam a little deeper. Then some of the stories conveniently changed, became a little bit more detailed. I mean, it goes on and on and on, and it would take me way too long to give you all the detail. You really, really, really need to read up on it because it's jaw-dropping. Right before Betsy Faria died, Pamela Hupp's mother, I shouldn't do that, Pamela Hupp's mother fell through the wrought iron balcony of her rest home, which is ironically in Fenton right there on Bowles.
Okay,
you know, that lakeside, whatever it's called, and died. The only person that was there
was this bitch.
Pam.
Big bad Pam.
Okay, so...
And apparently her mother was a large woman, so the insurance company had to do this, investigation to find out, how in the heck did this poor woman bust through these wrought iron gates? Now, I haven't ever seen pictures of her mother, well, anyway, so even if she was a 250-pound woman, which is, let's say, an average 6-foot man, okay?
Well, I wish, but okay.
So they had, they were testing these theories with 250 pounds of weight, banging into these wrought iron fence, whatever. Couldn't get them to bust. Bitch killed her fucking mom.
Yeah.
I know it.
And another,
I know she did.
And another insurance policy was
paid off to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. It's easy to, hindsight's 20/20, right?
No, my first Dateline, I was like, that bitch did it. I knew it.
But, if you're on Dateline, there's some shenanigans going on, but, it's like, looking at all this just now, if I had heard the first first time around, I would have thought like, yeah, there's some bullshit.
Of course.
But I think most people didn't feel that way whenever it first came around.
No, I think the first time I actually saw it was not on Dateline. It was on
like Channel 2 or something like that.
No, I watched those.
The 2
like,
Fox.
No, I watched like ID murder.
Oh yeah,
whatever
investigation,
stuff.
discovery. Yeah.
And they tell and they replay the story or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that was the first time that I had seen it. Was on something like that. And then I saw the Dateline episode.
Yeah.
Now you're not even to the. It gets weirder, right? So there was another murder.
Yeah.
To frame.
Well, so Pam killed Faria.
Well,
maybe
Russ went to jail for killing Betsy.
Right.
Okay. And then retrial or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Conviction's overturned. He's released.
Okay.
Okay. Then
now we still don't know who the hell killed Betsy.
Correct. So they're still investigating that. His lawyer.
Today?
Well, no.
Because that bitch.
You're gonna ruin it.
They were still investigating.
Spoiler alert.
Well, I mean, she never admitted it. She never admitted it. Everybody fucking knows it.
Right.
So, conviction. It's overturned.
Mm-hmm.
Now, his daughters take her to court because they never got that money.
Mm-hmm.
She opened a trust account right at the time of the trial so that she could prove that she had opened this trust account on behalf of these girls and that the money was in there. 3 days after he was convicted, she says, I revoked the trust. Okay, well, that's not how it works. You just took the fucking money, bitch.
Right.
You know, so the money's gone now. And she claimed that she took the money because they gave testimony that was negative towards her, painted her in a bad light. They said awful things about me, so she took the money back.
Oh, my God.
And she won. I mean, she was so arrogant and smug. It was horrible to watch all this. So then you move forward to...
Kills her mother.
3 months after that. No, Mom's already dead.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
3 months after this, let's say, you know.
Keep up,
Let's
Ryan.
go in 3 month increments here. 3 months after this.
I need a whiteboard.
Right? No, I'm for real. You need to like...
You need a flow chart. Yeah. Swim lanes.
She lures a man. She's pretending to be a Dateline producer. She pretends to be a Dateline producer. And she drives around this small little town and she approaches people. The first person that she approached was a woman. And
Is this around us still?
like Troy.
Okay.
And I think she was originally from O'Fallon. The original, yes and no.
Okay.
So,
West County.
no, way the
Further
F out
out?
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Fallon Brewery has a good pumpkin beer. by the way.
So
October coming
stay
up.
with me
Week
here.
away.
Stay with me.
Yep.
Damn it! Now you made me lose
No,
my
no,
train
no.
of fucking thought.
She's going around the town as a producer.
She's acting like a Dateline producer.
So she's acting like a Dateline producer. She approaches this woman and she says, "Can you come with me? I'm a producer from Dateline, and I need to take you someplace to do this story."
She kills that bitch too?
So the woman, for a moment, contemplated doing this, right? And then at the last minute, pulled back and was like, "No, you're crazy." So then she finds this man who is slow.
Oh, boy.
And he says, okay. I think she was offering him a couple $100 to do whatever it was that she said to do.
She told him she knows where his baseball is.
You're horrible. That's fucking horrible. The man is dead.
It's a movie.
The man is dead. I know it's a movie, but the man is dead.
Okay.
Where's my baseball? And so he says, okay. So she says to him, do this, do that, do this. She shot him and killed him.
Oh, boy.
She shot him and killed him after she put a note in his pocket that pointed the police to Russ Faria for murdering this guy.
This, what?
Yes, because he had been released. They're still investigating at this point. Stay with me. See, if you'd shut your fucking mouth, you would have understood and picked up on this.
Sorry.
So she knows they're getting closer and closer and closer to ultimately saying, you know. And so she's trying to divert it and prove, no, he's a bad guy. See, now he killed this guy. Now he killed this guy. And now he killed this guy. I mean, she a bad bitch. So she gets pulled into prison.
What'd
she
the
gets
note
hauled
say?
in.
What'd the note say?
Something about Russ Faria.
Oh, just some illusion.
Yeah,
you know.
some reference to.
Illusion,
You can also hear the 911 call that Betsy Pam made in regards to this intruder, the guy that she set up and then killed.
Huh.
I'm not kidding you. You really need to listen to it. And if you don't want to listen to something about Pam, go back and watch the Dateline episodes.
I think I'll probably do this something about Pam. What's the quickest way to get me through it? the quickest way to like get me through all the facts, right? Because like if I go watch the Dateline, I'm going to get it in pieces because there's one that came out and it's like, okay, here's this, the picture
There's
of
something
things.
about Pam then.
Right. So like the first Dateline is like, all right, this is the picture of this case as of this date.
Mm-hmm.
Dateline episode, the second time they did it is a picture of this case on this date.
Mm-hmm.
And then they made the third one. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like though either way, because it's Dateline that does the podcast for it's
right.
the thing about Pam. So I feel like you're going to get.
I just want the most up to date.
The thing about
linear,
Pam, but it's not complete. Like it's going in stages.
I'm cool with that. Yeah.
But just Google that shit. You're gonna find her. You're gonna find the whole
something just happened in the news,
story.
right? So what, like today or yesterday, right? Something
with Hupp.
Yeah. Right. Or
no,
or
just
no,
the podcast.
you just were
Just
bringing it up
the
because of the
podcast,
podcast.
but the podcast because so
Yeah.
she was spoiler alert. She was officially convicted of the murder of this man that she set up and took the whatever plea and
Alfred plea.
Yep, that plea. And so now she's doing life in prison.
Okay.
Which yeah. I mean, she should be dead. I hope she actually gets killed.
Someone will probably kill her. I mean,
I hope so.
You know, there's probably some other.
That's a horrible thing to say.
You
shouldn't wish somebody dead, but she's an awful, horrible, horrible.
So there's probably someone
person.
that's in there for life that has nothing to lose really, and they got
what's the worst that
protection
can
or
happen?
whatever.
What's the worst that can
You're
happen?
You're gonna stay in there still till
even
dead.
So maybe don't kill her. Sorry, God. Don't kill her. Beat her up really bad.
Yeah.
Do really
Make
bad things to her.
Make her
like
hurt.
with the fat end of a baseball bat. Do something ignorant.
Yeah.
Yep, that's my 2 cents. But it's
crazy. That's fascinating. It is.
It's absolutely fascinating.
Well, I'm worried about Russ and him getting some comeuppance because I mean that dude did hard time.
He did, but you know what though, God, when you see the video of the courtroom video of him getting released, and his knees just give way, and oh my God, I was a mess.
Well,
because he was finally free to be with his girls. Because there was even a moment when his girls doubted him.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
I mean, that had to have just been crushing to think your children don't even think enough of you that you wouldn't have killed their mother.
Yeah.
I mean,
why isn't this a movie yet?
Oh,
yeah, I know.
I can't wait.
It seems like
I can't wait. I already got some of the stars in my head, and I feel like Joe Pesci would play a fantastic Russ Faria.
Oh yeah, except he's getting a little old. He's getting a little long in the tooth.
Oh, well, so's
Who's
Russ
gonna
Faria.
play Pam?
Give me a minute.
Sharon Stone.
No. You don't want to do her justice.
Did you
it's
see her
like
mugshot?
No, you can
Kathy
make her.
Bates.
You can make Sharon Stone look.
Kathy
bad.
Bates.
Oh wow.
Kathy Bates.
That's
Because
a
have
good
you ever seen
play.
her in Misery?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going with the casino reference with
Sure.
The, you know.
Yeah. Great
Joe
movie,
Pesci.
by the way. Yeah. Interesting.
Anyway, so
the other case
that's your homework.
I know. I'm going to check it out for sure.
Okay.
So we brought up the Making a Murderer case, and there was a recent development in that.
So
Spoiler.
you're much more into this than.
Well, I just happened. It was like a 2-paragraph article, but it's a little more than that.
Well, okay, so I didn't get the opportunity to read it,
Okay,
so
do you
share.
want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to say yesterday there was a story that came out. There's another person doing a documentary
called Convicting a Murderer or something like that?
Convicting a Murderer. It's not finished yet, and it's not decided where it's going to stream. I'm assuming Netflix, but actually I think he's kind of critical of Netflix and the Making a Murderer series. So
the person
the director,
like the producer.
of this,
Okay.
And so I could see it not coming out on Netflix because he's pretty hard on Netflix apparently. So maybe it'll be on Hulu or something. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a multi-year documentary where he's doing all this research. It's going to be a 10-part thing. But he was critical of the way Netflix and the Making a Murderer series kind of withheld information and spun it a certain way and
Allegedly.
Whatever. Right. But while doing his research, he was interviewing someone who's in prison in Wisconsin already for another murder, and that person allegedly confessed to the Teresa Halbach murder.
Okay, that's
said
what I
that
saw.
it wasn't Stephen Avery and
It
Brendan
was
Dassey.
me, yeah.
Right. So of course that's a huge story.
Yeah.
Avery's lawyers are,
chomping at the bit.
Right. And this guy shared this information with investigators out of obligation. I feel like I need to let you know this.
You think?
Yeah. Now, today he clarified his statements because, of course, everybody latched onto this like, are you serious? So now he's saying that this person who confessed already gave other statements conflicting that. And that guy gave statements implicating Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey, and now turned it around And so people are assuming that it's just for the publicity of this documentary. The guy knows he can get famous and whatever.
That's the problem with that whole case now is that, I mean, we talked about it before we started, how untrustworthy the original is good. The Making a Murder documentary was good, the original one. I don't think I finished the second one.
I didn't either.
I got bored with it.
It's not
like it's rehashing all the same shit that we already knew. I don't need to hear it again. But I thought I watched the whole thing and then I made my judgment and I thought, motherfucker did it.
Oh really?
Yeah. I thought he did it because the documentary was written and done and produced in a way
to make him look like he didn't.
To make him look
right. So you automatically assumed it's got to be the opposite because they're trying to make it look like he's innocent.
And I'd also let me be fair here. So I'd read some other news stories and things like that too. I didn't make that judgment just off of the documentary.
Okay.
I read some other news stories and I read other things because it was voracious. You know, I was like I got to know more about this. What the fuck's going on?
Right.
There can't be just that to the story. Excuse me. So anyway, the documentary taints the waters, right? It automatically from the jump because it's written with bias. It's produced with bias, and
Don't you think all of the stories in regards to it are written with some form of bias? Well, you just have to read between the lines.
You hope you can. You hope you can see between the lines. And that's why we were talking about Dateline. Why Dateline's great, and they should do a Dateline on this if they haven't. Where they give you the half an hour of here's why he did it, and here's a half an hour why he didn't do it.
Only if Keith Morrison narrates. Yeah. That man is fantastic.
Yeah, great. So, but I think that's what needs to happen because to date, I don't think there has been a fair presentation of all of the facts. Even in the courtroom, there wasn't a fair presentation of all the facts because no matter which version of the case, you've had someone that's a hapless attorney that can't get shit done. Even the lady that's trying to get him out, she still is or whatever, but even that lady is just in it, in my opinion, is just in it for the publicity. She's not really she knows there's maybe a thin thread of hope to hold on to. There's not much that she's going to be able to do for this guy. She's doing it for her own self-interest, in my opinion.
Probably.
Which you're probably right, which makes me sad because I feel the opposite way. I don't feel like he's guilty.
You don't?
No.
You feel like he's innocent?
Mm-hmm.
So, well, all right. I mean, we don't need to rehash the whole thing here.
No,
how do you explain the bone fragments and shit and the blood on the latch of the car and the car being on his property? I mean, there's they found her keys in his bedroom.
There were a lot of things, and I feel like I'm probably gonna get beat up when I leave here. I feel like small town America. Tiny town America.
And a backwards ass town.
And a backwards ass town with a crooked sheriff.
And a department that had every reason to frame him.
Not like him because
he was going to make $30-some million off of them. Like they were going to be on the hook for that.
The entire family had always been in and out of trouble. There was an issue with that whole family.
Yeah.
So I honestly feel like the evidence was planted and he was set up.
Yeah.
I will say after the first season, I felt like oh man, this guy got screwed. Yep. The town or the police are totally in on it, whatever.
That sheriff looks like a douchebag.
And then like you, I read a bunch of other things and Reddit and other stories that put information out there that wasn't in the documentary, and then you go, oh shit.
Well, the gals that put the documentary together,
he probably did do it.
Kind of got beat up a little bit because they did it. They left things out.
Yeah,
and it's because if they had included them, it would have broken their narrative.
Okay.
Which their narrative was
the
that
second season, in my mind, which again is made by these two gals who have an agenda to make him look innocent, shows even more information that wasn't presented in the first season. That you're just like, holy shit! Of course he was framed. Like it's
and
even
that's my
more.
Point. I feel like there's probably some stuff that makes him look more guilty than what we're seeing through this Netflix thing. But I feel like there's just as much to continue to show that he got set up.
What's bizarre to me is in the second half of the second season, which is the stuff you guys probably didn't watch because it does get boring. It's all just like courtroom stuff and whatever.
Out.
But what's interesting about it, and even since then, it's basically all these different appeal processes where either a judge or a 5-person panel or whatever decides, no, there's not enough information here to warrant a new trial. And to me, there's clearly enough. Not only have they disputed some of the stuff that was done in the first trial, enough to put doubt on it. There's new evidence, there's new information that shows we at least need to look at this again. And they're like, no, not so much.
That's my point.
What the fuck?
Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they want to, beyond a reasonable doubt?
Right.
You gotta throw everything out there. And if there's a teeny tiny thing on this side and a teeny tiny thing on this side, you gotta either disprove or prove one way or the other. Either keep him in prison because boy were we wrong. He OJ'd that bitch.
Yeah.
Or see?
Right.
He was set up by a crooked.
Speaking of OJ, we should do a celebrity death match. Stephen Avery versus OJ.
I know, because I don't believe he's guilty.
Can he
choose your weapon?
Can he tag team with Brendan Dassey? Like, Get in here, help me.
And OJ can have Al Collins. You know?
Al Collins never went to jail, though.
No, and he didn't do anything. He just drove.
He didn't do anything yet.
I saw something.
And looked like OJ while he was driving.
He was, Well, he was like a number 6 draft in the NFL draft in like the late 70s.
Well, didn't they play in college together?
Yeah, they played at USC together.
Yeah.
So it's like little things that you don't like.
Yeah.
No shit. Al Collins, it's I don't know, interesting. But so
anyway,
the Dassey thing is probably the most depressing thing about that entire case is that even if the kid did it, if he did it or he didn't do it, he's not smart enough to know what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And then, so regardless of whether or not he had a part in a murder, everything that happened after that was unfair to the mental makeup of that
Well,
kid.
And hearing the way that he was interrogated, I mean, if he's mentally challenged, there should have been an advocate in there on his behalf to make sure that he was completely understanding and deciphering clearly what it was that they were saying and asking of him, and he wasn't. And he is clearly challenged.
Right. He's got issues. Yeah.
Right. So that was bullshit in the first place.
So that's the saddest part of the whole thing.
Of course it is. Well, besides the fact that the woman's dead.
Well, sure. Yeah, obviously that's number one. But Avery is, I don't think he's that good of a person.
I don't think he's a bad person.
I don't think he's a good person. I don't
know. I always like to root for the underdog, and I just feel like there's something there that everybody's all of a sudden going to be like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah,
I think you take everything, you take everything else away from it, and you just look at his life before he killed that bitch, or before the crime occurred, before her death, and you take everything in Stephen Avery's life before that, and you'd be like, "That guy's a fucking dirtbag."
I don't think that any of it makes him a murderer, though.
No, it doesn't make him a murderer, but
they know he was wrongly convicted the first time.
Maybe not the most upstanding member of the community.
Yeah.
Not a murderer. So I'm not saying let's give him the key to the city.
Right.
I'm saying let him out of prison because you haven't done the investigated. There's someone else there that they're covering it up for.
Well, and all of the evidence that points to him, the bones in the gravel pit, in the burn pit, there's indication that it could have been moved. Like there's an expert that said this is not what bones look like when they originated here. This is what bones look like when you pile them up and move them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The car on the property. I mean, anybody could have put it there, and there's even a witness who remembers seeing a RAV4 driving in on the back road and parking out there.
Yep, I remember that.
Now, it doesn't mean that wasn't Stephen Avery driving it on, but somebody drove, as opposed to it being on the property because she drove it there. Somebody drove it in the back way.
Yeah.
There's the blood.
That tiny tiny
could have been put there some way.
It was totally put there.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. And it was
totally put there because it wasn't there originally. They found it on their secondary or third.
Yeah, same with the key. The key
weren't
wasn't
dealing with
in
the
room.
CSI crew from Las Vegas, though. I mean, we're dealing with fucking Wisconsin backwoods assholes.
Okay, but that's my point, though.
Is Wisconsin?
So, yes.
Okay.
So, as easy as it is to say, well, they don't have the same abilities that, whatever. It's not Law and Order. It's not CSI. Okay, well, then what makes your judicial system fair enough to put him in prison whenever you don't know whether or not this has been investigated properly? So it goes both ways.
Well, it's the same. I mean, the same way. Go back to OJ. It's the same way that the LAPD got in trouble for evidence tampering and the chain of possession or what's it called?
Yeah.
Chain of possession, something like that.
Like who had the gloves and who had
and it was that's how what's that guy he's on Fox now. He's retired cop, LAPD cop. What's that? He was on the stand.
Furman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mark
Furman.
That's how he got famous because he was in charge of making sure shit was where it was supposed to be, and he allegedly wanted
Didn't
conspiracy
do it right.
theory.
Well, and he also didn't
he was
like
the guy that made racist comments.
Black people.
He
exactly.
he had a lot of problems. But, but anyway, the point is that
that's also how the Kardashians became popular. So
Right.
I don't like to talk about that.
But there's it can happen in a big city like LA. It can happen in backwoods Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Agree.
It can happen anywhere.
Not saying that you're wrong.
When Roscoe and Boss Hogg start tampering with evidence,
Right? And it was never Bone Luke Duke. God damn it.
Now they should have been in jail.
And really, Uncle Jesse should have been in jail.
Yeah, he was kind of the mastermind behind it.
That's
all.
my thing. Is if there's enough doubt on the evidence or whatever, and if the prosecution thinks that they can prove him guilty again, then have another trial.
Agreed.
If you think you can do it again,
That's what I'm
then do
saying.
it.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Is if you've got enough on one side,
Where do you find a jury that doesn't know anything about this?
they're going to have to completely move it out of the state. It's going to have to be completely moved. Problem is that there's going to be a hard time finding someone who's completely
everybody's
unbiased.
seen that
Anyway.
documentary. Yeah.
Well, then it just needs to go to the thing where the judge makes the decision.
Yeah.
Which it did, and there was a judge that said, "Yeah, there's way too much doubt on this evidence. We need another trial." And then the prosecution appealed again.
Yeah, and
it
then
went
they won.
to a 3-person panel, and 2 of them said, "No,
Yeah,
we're not going
because
to do this."
where were they
Like,
from?
what?
They were from
Wisconsin,
there.
Yep.
And I just feel like
And
it's-
they're all in, not in necessarily a corruption kind of way, but you could look at it that way. But they have reason to not throw themselves under the bus. If one judiciary panel says, "Yeah, you guys screwed up at a lower court," well, that doesn't look good for the state
shit
or
rolls
anybody.
downhill.
Exactly.
It's not
So
going to be good if one person pulls the Jenga piece.
they
the
would
whole shit
rather
thing's
them
gonna
all
fall.
be clean and pure and go, "Yep,
So you
we
guys
did a
know
good job."
a lot more about this than I do. But let me. So if
I gotta pee.
oh boy,
We can pause
I'm
it.
sorry.
we could pause it. You could hold it for a second.
Okay.
So if he didn't do it,
Take that out.
if he didn't do it,
Who did?
yeah, who the fuck did it?
I don't know. Somebody that tiny little area is covering for. So you'd have to find the boss hog of Hooterville,
This
fucking
is the-
Wisconsin, and that's who probably did it. Is
The
some
Occam's razor is the most likely answer is usually the right answer, and or the most obvious answer is the right answer. And that's where I'm at with this. Is like, okay,
But he's- to me, he's
she worked
not.
for
I
for
was gonna
Auto
say-
Trader. She worked for Auto Trader. She went to his house to sell a car, or he was selling a car. She was there to take pictures of a car.
yes,
That's what
to
her
photograph
job.
a car.
That's
Yeah.
what her job was.
For
and
Auto
that's the
Trader.
last time anybody had heard from her
Mhm.
was on her
Well,
way to go photograph
maybe.
this car.
That she went to 4 or 5 different homes that day to photograph different cars, and one of the other people who she was going to see that day is very sketchy and has a criminal history and does not want to be involved in this
And
investigation.
his uncle's a sheriff.
But his family, I do believe, is a little bit more upper echelon in the area, though. If memory serves.
I forget. But there's
I
also
may be
some
wrong.
evidence
Right.
to indicate she did leave. Like, that property is not the last place she was seen. She was seen leaving the property and was seen on the highway. And that's where some people
I
think
just feel like there's
that she was killed, because they said there's evidence to show that she had a history of getting out of her car on the side of the road to take pictures. And I believe there was a witness that said they saw her that day on the side of the road taking pictures. So
Just of scenery or whatever?
yeah, just like of flowers and stuff. And if you're a vagrant, rapist, murderer who sees a easy target on the side of the road already pulled over,
Right.
you're going to take your
Who's to
shot.
say?
And then
Right.
if you're the cops who find this car and this body later, and you want to pin it on somebody, and Avery is right there suing you for $34 million, why not?
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
not
know. I
saying
still
that
feel
that's
like
exactly what happened.
And so,
but
and then
could've
Brendan
been.
Dassey, which he was,
collateral
wrong.
damage.
Well, but him come, they hammered him with these questions over and over again. But he basically said, "Yeah, I held her down." And
No, what he said
He
is
was the only way that they could get anything pinned on Stephen. There was no physical evidence that Avery was involved at all. So they needed somebody to say that he was.
But when
Let's take the dumb nephew. and
right,
get
you
him
listen to the tapes and you hear them and you know how this works.
Mhm.
They come up with their scenario and then they drive it at you.
right.
And so they say, so you held her down. This is what we think. You held her down. And then Stephen did this. And so
Right,
you held her down,
right.
right? Isn't that what happened?
Right,
Come on,
yeah.
just say it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
again, if he's challenged in some way, he's been beat down, he's confused.
Right.
He could very easily have said, I held her down.
And they take it as
Boom. It's done.
right.
And I feel like that's potentially what happened. I'm not generally a conspiracy theorist, but in this case,
And
I'm right.
supposedly the only reason they even started looking at Brendan was his cousin, I forget her name, like a 16-year-old girl, who ended up on the stand, said that she lied. She made up that because she said, oh, he was all disturbed and depressed, and he ended up telling me that he saw her toes in the fire and blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh, shit, we need to question Brendan. And then later she was crying on the stand. So then
all of his testimony should have been discredited because how they got to it was a big fat lie.
What a shit show.
This is why I can't say for any certainty that this man is guilty.
Right.
There's all that. It's like Pam Hupp.
Additionally,
it's extraordinary.
Now it's all entirely possible that he did it too.
Sure. Why?
I'd be super sad if he did.
Why do I mean that's the guy? That's another thing.
Well,
there's a lot of people that
care. You care about corruption and wrongful convictions because nobody wants it to happen to them.
I just don't like people getting away with being assholes.
Well, I think my question is like, why does this capture the public mind?
I don't like people that can get away with being assholes.
I think it's just the way society
is. It's like Pam Hupp.
I
can't stand the fact that she's getting away with being a bold-faced fucking liar.
Yeah.
I want to throat punch her. what is it that they said on
Big
Brother?
I
want to stop a mud hole in her chest. Like she deserves the absolute worst. Other than death, sorry God. She really, I mean, like, I hope she comes really close to death.
Yeah. Multiple times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and then dies in her sleep.
Yeah.
In a nightmare.
No. You want? I think it's okay whenever someone's a sick fuck like that. That it's okay.
I guess
it's okay to be. It's okay to be okay with them being killed. It's okay.
Yeah, I would be okay with it. I wouldn't be sad. I don't think the world would be sad. Yeah. I don't think anyone would be sad. I don't think there would be any mourning, in my opinion, for that horrible creature. It's like when Charles Manson died. Did you see that whole funeral thing with
Charles Manson didn't die.
Well, I was going to say what?
Charles Manson's alive and well. Who are we talking about?
Really?
Yeah. Charles Manson?
Charles Manson's still alive?
As far as I know.
Really?
I feel like this came up recently.
I think you better do some fact-checking.
Would the motherfucker just die?
Like 6 months ago.
Nuh-uh.
All right, I'm lying. Y'all are the smart ones.
He did. He died. Oh, he died November 19, 2017.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
No shit. I thought that motherfucker was still alive.
So a year and 6 months ago.
There was some talk. I remember people were saying he was dead, and it was like, no, he's not. And
he dead as shit.
Then he actually did die. Yeah.
Huh.
Sorry.
He's dead as fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
like
real dead.
2 years ago.
2 years dead.
Anywho.
He was 83 years old. Man, what a fucked up dude. Anyway, what were you going to say?
Well, there was video. Recently, Netflix came out with another, thing about him, and it showed his family mourning him.
Yeah.
His son, his grandson, his nephew, whoever it was.
Yeah, he was still family to someone, even though he was a sick fuck.
And so, he's a sick fuck. But it put it in perspective. Not that I felt any remorse. I didn't feel bad for him. He was an awful person.
You watched that new movie, right? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet.
It touches on that Manson family
and
murders or whatever.
I love that shit.
But it is great at the end.
It's a great movie.
It's the twist on reality.
Yeah, right.
You totally don't mind at all that these people are getting the shit beat out of them. It's like,
don't give it away.
Yeah, you don't want to give it away. You don't want to spoil it. And that's the funny thing about that movie is that Tarantino, whenever they screened it at Cannes or whatever,
I've heard mixed reviews.
It's a really good movie.
You got to either like Tarantino or you don't. There's no in between.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that if you don't know the history, if you don't know what you're getting into, then you'd be like, huh? You'd be kind of like kids. Like my kids would be like, yeah, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. Who's
Morgan saw it. She didn't like it.
Who's Sharon Tate? They don't get it.
I saw it with my son, and I had to I was like, does he even know who Sharon Tate is? Yeah, okay.
So, but I think it's really good. But anyway, Tarantino said at this first screenings, like at all the festivals or whatever, that he would introduce the movie and he'd say, look, don't tell anybody about the ending of this movie, because I want everybody to see it just like you saw it. And come in. I
still don't know what to expect.
Yeah. But I would say no spoilers on this, because I think everybody should see it as he intended, because it's really good and it's really entertaining, and he does such a good job. Now, I won't say I'm not a big fan of Tarantino across the board.
Well, I was going to say this is one of the least Tarantino-esque movies, in my opinion. It doesn't scream Tarantino.
Well,
in some ways
goes
it does,
back to the Pulp Fiction style where he kind of jumped around in the timeline. It does.
But
I feel
like
it's not
it
a linear.
Doesn't have a lot of his telltale signs of it.
Yeah.
What I'm getting at is if you don't
Not enough of the
necessarily like
N-word.
Tarantino, you might still like this movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't think you said
Well, because I had to watch Pulp Fiction twice before I understood it.
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction's a lot to take
great.
in.
Mm-hmm.
There's multiple stories. It was
It was
good.
very overwhelming, especially if you're a detail person. And I kept trying. I think I overthought it because he put so much detail in everything. So I kept thinking, oh, I got to pay attention to that. Oh, I got to pay attention to that. You know,
such little subtle things that
Yes.
absolutely didn't affect a certain scene.
right? But I kept thinking
but
that they
it's
would.
a callback to something. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. You kept waiting for something, and it's like, nope.
So yeah, but
It's
the
just
second
there.
time I watched it, I relaxed a little bit more, and then I
Yeah.
got it, and then I understood it a little bit better.
I think he does really
Best,
good with
best
actors.
Tarantino movie.
I would say this latest one is
okay.
it takes the cake. I mean, I want to see it again to see if it holds up and it's enjoyable because I can watch Pulp Fiction over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Reservoir Dogs. I don't know that I've seen all of Tarantino. A lot, you know.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Django.
Oh, really?
No. And
Hateful
Eight. I
Eight.
started to watch. I think I fell asleep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not a huge Tarantino buff, you know,
Okay.
but I would say this
Do you have
movie, if I had to
preference?
watch one, it would be
I
this
mean,
Just Pulp Fiction. That's kind
I
of
really like Pulp
go-to.
Fiction. I like Kill Bill.
Yeah.
one. Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
liked the first one. Yeah.
But a lot of it's because I like Uma Thurman. But
Yeah.
I know that she speaks to him, he speaks to her, that
Right.
kind of thing.
I think he has a way. I think you know. I don't know shit about acting or directing, but I think he knows how to. He's doing something right.
Mhm.
He has these artists' minds, their trust, and he gets the
Well, that's
best.
what I mean. Like they work well
He-
together.
He gets
yeah.
the best out of them.
Yeah,
so
he'll
you
take
watch,
actors that aren't necessarily. I mean, they're good and great actors that have been around a long time, but they're, for one thing, I don't necessarily like Eric Stoltz
right,
in a lot of movies,
right.
but I love him in Pulp Fiction, and Uma Thurman is fine, but she's great in Tarantino movies. But
Right.
Yeah.
in other stuff, you're like, okay, she's okay, but yeah, he pulls up the best performance out of them. I
I
don't know
love
how he
Eric
does it.
Stoltz. I loved him in Mask,
Yeah.
Well, listen to the people that he had in that movie.
and I loved him in what was the other one that he did? Some Kind of Wonderful.
Oh,
Quentin
yeah.
Tarantino was in it, obviously. Travolta, Uma Thurman, Sam Jackson, Bruce Willis, Tim Roth, Harvey Keitel, Christopher Walken, Eric Stoltz, Rosanna Arquette, Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi's in everything.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else famous.
In just his movies in general. But
Apparently, Kathy Griffin was in it.
not Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. She was a hit and run
She
witness.
was. What was Buscemi?
Buscemi was, he played Buddy Holly at the
Oh,
restaurant.
right. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
He was in Reservoir Dogs. But
Ving
I forgot.
Rhames.
Yeah.
He's passed away, I believe.
No,
Mm-mm.
that's
Who's the other one?
No, the other
The other
big
one
guy
looks
from
just like him.
Green Mile.
Yeah,
died.
big
He
muscular
died.
dude.
Michael
Michael Clark Duncan. Yeah.
Duncan. Yeah. Clark Duncan. Duncan Clark.
Anyway.
Clark Duncan.
Yeah, but
Clark
I mean, to put together an all-star cast
Oh,
like
yeah.
that, and kind of the same with this Hollywood one is. I mean, he's got great actors, and he's got.
It's on my list. I want to
it's
see it.
Really
Yeah.
good.
So
It
we're
is
ready
really
for a
good.
break because I have to tinkle.
All right.
I guess.
Yeah, we can probably just wrap it up. We did our murder mystery love triangle discussion.
Don't take that part out. She's got to
Yeah,
pee. You
it's
know,
fine.
she's managed to
Yeah.
bring a halt to the podcast
It brings
because of her small bladder.
It didn't. No.
That's all good.
No.
I just said I still have to go. Is all. I was just reminding you that I said it 20 minutes
But
ago. I had to
maybe
go.
we'll try
Yeah.
to do a half-loaded one this time since
Yeah, we got a little time.
we got.
I'm gonna need
plenty
another
to talk
bottle of
about.
water.
Hey, we could
Yeah.
potentially do a revisiting of some
Not a recap.
old topics. No,
We could revisit.
it's not a
some
fucking
things.
thing. No.
We'll see. All right. Well, we appreciate you listening and tuning in and subscribing.
Yep.
We want to thank Rebecca for joining us today.
Yeah.
Thank you for having
Always
me again.
fun.
Yep.
We already did all the
let's
how
do it
they can
again.
get a hold of us.
If you
Yeah.
want to drop us a line, @Load This Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can send us an email, loadthispodcast@gmail.com, or you could leave a message right below on our YouTube. Get a load of this podcast on YouTube.
That's right.
And
Check out
Much
some of our recent
appreciation.
episodes. We
Yes.
went and had the sports car dugout. My wife took some cool pictures.
yeah,
some black
much
and whites.
appreciation to your wife for getting us back on the social media
Yep.
wagon, because our former social media director sucked. We fired him.
I could tell that you guys got a new one, and it had to be a female.
It's a little more artistic.
Far more artistic and thorough. Yeah.
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 As opposed to just a bunch of pictures thrown together with
With a couple of words.
however many hashtags I can fit in there. Whatever. You know.
Yep.
But
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
Yep. Well, again, thanks for listening. And until next time, I'm Jared.
I'm Ryan.
Get a load of this.
Holy Lord, my ears
up?
are hot.
Why are we whispering?
I don't know.
More volume. I got nothing. Check.
More cowbell.
Check. If you're too loud, I'll turn you down.
But look here. I mean, that's what we're looking at. Where you...
Well, check. Yeah, but I can't fucking. This is all the way up.
You can't hear yourself?
Yeah, barely. Maybe I'm going deaf.
Pull one off.
Yeah.
Now talk.
Well, this is one.
I'm one.
That's you, right? So this is loud enough for you? Check. Okay, check. Okay, you good there? Level 2 is check.
Hey, that was me. You turned me off.
So check. Is this too loud for you?
No.
That's good. So check. I'm going to put myself in 4.
Okay.
Check. That's better. Something's wrong with this port. I think there's got to be. Or it's all in my fucking head. Check. Okay.
Boo. Did you see him?
It's good.
That was awesome.
I think it's good. I think my microphone's just quiet because I can hear her just fine. Those are all the way up. I can hear her just fine. I just can't really hear myself, but that's fine. I can see which one am I on here? 2. Check. I'm 2. Yeah, so I'm plenty loud there. That's fine. We're gonna leave this door open. That was fucking funny. You timed it perfectly.
Yeah.
Click. Was that on video too? Fuck.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Jesus.